Hello, Uganda. Good evening and welcome on the spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. Tonight, my guests are young people, young Ugandans. Why? Because I think the voice of young Ugandans must come out, especially now that the roadmap to Road 2026, the general election has been set. Are they being listened to? Because I believe in 2026, whoever is going to be president of the Republic of Uganda will get that mandate from the young people. Why? Because the demographics say that Uganda is largely a young country. Are they being listened to? Are they going to fall prey to the commercialization of politics? Welcome to On the Spot. Let me introduce my panel this evening. I have Mr. Edson Rugumayo. Edson Rugumayo is a member of parliament representing Western Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us, Edson.
Thank you so much.
I'm always praying hard. I don't just call you Edward because your name, Edson Rugumayo, is so close to Edward Rugumayo. But by God's grace, I'm going to stay on the Edson.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I have Topista Kiza, who's a program coordinator, Africa Youth Development League. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Godfrey Bainomujisha, who's a coordinator, National Unity Platform, yes. Greater Bushenyi.
Yes, Patrick, thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm glad to be here.
Let me begin with Topista in the middle there, because why I want to gender balance this. But Topista, all of you, a warm welcome and thank you for having honored this invitation. Like I said in my intro, whoever is going to be president or member of parliament or LOC 5 chairperson will have to do so because he has the mandate of the young people. Why? Because the demographics say that Uganda is largely a young country. How are young people preparing themselves for their voice to be heard, for them to be taken serious, but also perhaps even to jump into the leadership?
Yes.
What is the mission of the generation of the young people in 2024?
Okay, thank you, Patrick, and I want to thank you for hosting us here. It is hard for young people to get such a platform on a TV station, but we want to thank you for thinking about the young people. Yeah, so I've worked with the youth for quite a period of time, given that I work with a youth civil society organization. But despite the numbers as you talk about, the turnout of the youth to vote is low, is very low. If all young people in this country turned up to vote, then definitely their vote would determine who takes it at the end of the day. But most of them don't turn up to vote. There are several factors as to why youth don't turn up to vote. So in the first place, if you look at the past, is that we used to have civics taught in schools. In primary school, you'd study about civics. Then in secondary school, I think you'd start studying about political education. So we became civically conscious at a younger age by then. But of late, there isn't any of that is happening at that level. When I was at university in Makerere, I think we used to have a lot of political debates. I think every other weekend you'd see political debates. Right now, it is even hard for a civil society like AYDL to go and hold a political dialogue in a university. So the space for us to engage young people to build their civic competence is really shrinking. Why? Because the powers that be know the power that young people hold. And definitely the fact that they know that maybe the youth vote is not theirs, so they will do whatever it takes to suppress the voices of the young people. We are glad about the structures that are in existence. For example, the Uganda National Students Association, the National Youth Council. So we are seeing that through those structures, we've been able to have some young people who have moved through the structures and have gone to parliament that are competent, that are airing out the issues of the young people. But then if you look at the politics of our country, is that for most of those structures still, they are leaning to the ruling party. Yeah, I'm sure that Edison came through that structure. They are leaning towards the ruling political party, and usually you don't see the other dissenting voice. Then the other thing that affects youth participation is, if you look at the current context, is that where are these youth and what are they interested in? So given that you have a president that has been in power for quite a long period of time, and definitely the president and NRM political party is doing whatever it takes to sustain themselves in power, they will definitely suppress young people's voices.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Menomjisha from Busheng.
Yes.
I want to know, there have been a lot of, people expressing themselves, talking about the corruption, abuse of office, hemorrhage of public resources, and we have seen young people try to come out. But what can be done so that the voice of young people, they can be the ones who are going to turn the arc of history this time around, using your numbers, your connections, and your exposure, and maybe say enough for the things you see that are not going right, because you have the power of the numbers. Why can't those numbers be used?
Thank you, Patrick, and our viewers. You see, Patrick, our country has gone through a lot. And as youth, we have no voice. And when I look at our members of parliament, especially for the youth, I see a big gap that we have to cover to have the voice. So Patrick and our viewers, if you can all look through, when you go to Western Uganda, for example, I come from Busheng. My district has become a border economy. My youth, my fellow youth, have no voice, Patrick. The income itself that would give you the voice, because if you don't have money, if you don't have the money, you don't have the voice. Now, politicians, it comes back to the politicians. Our politicians want politics, let me say, the NRM politics of money.
But wait a minute, Menomjisha, sometimes it's not about money. What are you talking about you don't have a voice? Look, the Gen Z in Nairobi, in Kenya, have shown us that young people can actually turn the government to do what is right. So what kind of mobilization and networking that why have you failed to have that networking and mobilization just using your voice? And I'm not even saying you have to go and hound government and abuse and do whatever. But if you speak with one voice, with the tools available, with the technology available, the ICT tools available, surely somebody will listen. Surely, if you have a point, somebody will take a pause and listen.
Let me tell you, my brother Patrick,
because we have seen it has happened here in East Africa.
My brother Patrick and our viewers, the youth have no voice. The youth have no voice. Reason that the government, the NRM government, has been in power for long. So they know now how to handle us youth with the power of money, with the money.
You lack organization.
Money.
You have the voice, but you lack organization, Mr.
Patrick, money will kill the voices that would be loud.
But why do you allow to put a price on yourself?
Let me tell you something. In my municipality, Ishaka Busheng municipality, where you want to contest, my fellow youth don't want to listen to you if you don't have the money. If you don't have airtime to give someone, the youth will not listen to you. Can you imagine the kind of politics we have gone into? Now, if you ask how much money my brother Rugumayo used to get into parliament, you'll understand where we are as youth. To be in parliament, to be in politics, you must have the money. That's the voice the people are now listening to. So NRM politics of money has destroyed everything. We cannot have the voice if our parents already have sold everything to take us to school. You have nothing to base on to be a man Because your parent has sold everything to take you through university. You have other 5 siblings behind you. So you have to beg. You have to beg the government. To beg anybody who's contesting. So how do you tell me that we have a voice? We have no voice.
But if you are poor, does not mean you shouldn't have values.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara. And when you say that, I want to send a wake-up call to my brothers and sisters out there in the countryside. We are the majority of this country. And we need to come out and speak. We are lucky to have Chagulanyi, who is a youth who wants to contest as a president. We have a president who has been here for 40 years, close to 40 years. So in order to have the voice, in order for my brother here to be in parliament and speak and be listened to, we must have a youthful president. We need a president who can listen to us. A youthful president will be able to listen to us. If you tell me, now someone was giving me an example recently, that if your father is 80 years old and you are 35 years of my age, and you give all the powers to your father to decide for you on everything that you have to eat, that you have to, if you want to do business, you have to consult your 80-year-old. If the cows are attacked at night in the kraal, will your father really wake up to go and collect or stop the thieves from stealing them? No. So similarly, we need to be empowered. I know the government in place doesn't want this, but for us as youth, if we want to have a space, we must elect a president who is of our age, who can listen to us. Otherwise, we will just cry out, education is very expensive, you can't have a job, you can't have anything in this country if you don't cry, if you don't beg. You can imagine.
Well, what makes you think that if you have a leader who is closer to you in age, he's going to listen to you? Because even the president that we have today, when he came to power, he was closer to your age.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was closer to your age. But let me come to the Honorable Edison Rugumayo. I just wanted him to speak last because he gets an opportunity to hear the voices of the young people whom you lead. And for example, in Western Uganda, you hear how young people are saying they don't have a voice. But Edson, you're supposed to be their voice in some way. You're supposed to mobilize them. They have their pain. You're supposed to listen to their pain and maybe try to solve their problems. How do you respond to those young people for whom you are their leader?
Thank you so much, Patrick, first of all, for having us here. 2 important things happened today, and I cannot begin to talk without recognizing them. One is that today in the Southwest we lost a very important leader, the Honorable Sarah Mateke, who is my immediate former minister for youth. And together we did tremendous work for the young people, trying to harass people who come here and traffic our young girls. We did tremendous work in trying to make sure other programs are responsive to the young people. She's gone too soon, and I wish her an eternal rest. Secondly, we had a very important event in Fort Portal. That's the celebration of the 29th coronation. It's also very important. I wish His Majesty the King a happy reign. Now, it's good that I've had a chance to speak after my sister and brother have spoken. One, I want to rule out is to say that the youth in Uganda have no voice. That would be a big lie. For example, if we dealt with East Africa alone, Uganda is a model country in as far as youth representation is concerned. There are very few countries in Africa that have deliberately put structures of representation for the young people. That is something, that is a win that my colleague young people should appreciate. When they say there is no voice.
Edson, Patrick, as a member of parliament representing the young people in Western Uganda, your constituency stretching from Bweyale up there, almost at Kamudini, to going down to Kisoro at the border with Shaneka. How do you even engage people like those?
Would you appreciate that it is such a very big constituency? And that means my voice is not a voice for 1-2 individuals. My voice is a voice of the majority, of the young people. My voice is to address the needs that cut across many young people, not interests of 1-2 people. For example, when you say that in Uganda here, youth will be suppressed, for example, will be heading out for 2024 campaigns. Now, I've had the honor of serving the youth now. This is going to be my 8th year. And Patrick, I can assure you, I've come to appreciate that serving the young people is a good job. And we have been organized, because every campaign that we have had in the 8 years I've had with the youth, we have made great strides in winning in government. Now, to sit and have an illusion that the best will come when we have a young president, I think is a misdirected thought. Because, as the president has often said, it is not about biology, it is about ideology. You posed a very important question on what is it that we are organized and want to achieve. Now, for the time I've spent with young people, working with them, usually our issues transcend the issues of political party. Our issues have always been boundless. We try to address issues that cut across, that don't stop with a particular party, that go to the NRM, that go to the NUP. And these are the issues that I want to focus my time on.
Yes, but you see, just a couple of weeks back and a few days ago, you saw young people come out on the streets of Kampala expressing themselves because they are disgusted with the hemorrhage of public resources, the abuse of office, the greed of stealing public money. The government and the security apparatus could not even allow them to express themselves fully. These were unarmed. These were peaceful people who are tired and saying it's enough. And you are their leader. And the other day, young ladies, actually because they have failed to do anything else, they said to strip themselves naked on the streets of Kampala. There's no more shame. Because they're like, if those guys who are stealing have no shame, then shame is no longer here. Here we are. We are expressing ourselves. We are tired. We are disgusted. Our future is being robbed.
I appreciate
and you, your leader, we expected Edison and the other people, Nyamutoro and company, actually to be amongst them, because working with them, expressing the disgust, because let's face it, there is corruption.
Patrick, I want to appreciate that indeed, as a country, we are faced with the scourge of corruption. But probably, sometimes effort is misdirected. The young people now must realize that they have a very great tool within their hands, and that is the social media. Now, I would not be wrong to say, sometimes we will not stand with some instances because they are not the best way to handle some instances. I want to believe that when the young people made a deliberate effort to make exhibitions, and they should be able to note, every time Parliament is sitting, you will notice people quoting social media. There has been in circulation this and this and this. It means indirectly young people are controlling the discourse, but they don't realize it. Now, to fight corruption by coming to protest on the streets and without being organized, I think that would be also a miscalculation. Because first, you must understand in what circumstances are you dealing with and what kind of state are you facing. I think one is we need to sit down and be innovative. Yes, we are all pushing against corruption, but what best avenues can we use to fight this corruption? Not probably coming on the streets.
But you're a leader, they waited for you to show leadership on this, you didn't. So they went to do something.
And this is what we have been doing. For example,
but they're not hearing you.
You must have seen that when there was an opportunity to sign a motion, I walked diligently with my head high above my shoulders and said, I'll sign. I'm exercising that voice.
And I am right now. What has come out of that?
It doesn't matter. I know process will take the course. Two, I am making my express stand here that indeed corruption needs to be fought. But Patrick, between me and you, we should understand that indeed in these fights of corruption, sometimes energy is misdirected. One is, whereas there might be allegations of corruption against Parliament of Uganda, probably the corruption in Uganda is not mostly led by politicians. No. That is a misdirection. The corruption that I can say 60% of the corruption that takes place in Uganda is done by our civil servants.
Yes, but of course, but there is political leadership that should be able to use the political clout to fight what is messy in the public service. But hold on to your point, Honorable.
Just to conclude something. What I also cannot be part of, and I have learned this over time, whereas I noticed that the young people are pushing, what I cannot be part of is an effort that is meant to kill an institution of parliament. Because I understand many young people will need this institution today or tomorrow. So, well, there are many agents, foreign interests meddling in the country, trying to throw all the dirt at Parliament. I am very cautious that that is a stand I should take to protect the institution, because its service goes beyond me. It will help a young person who will come after me. So I'm careful not to join a group. I don't think
young people are there to destroy the institution. The young people are there, in fact, to rescue the institution, because it appears in what they are saying that some bad apples that need to be exposed. Because the institution in a democracy of parliament is crucial and important.
Yes.
The young people are not fighting the institution. The young people are fighting the rotten apples in the institution.
Yes.
And I think that's what they are saying. But Honorable, to Pista, maybe I'm pointing the right direction. To Pista, you know, the generation of Dr. Milton Obote in the 1960s, of people like Musazi, you know, when they saw a problem of colonialism, because the British were not living, it was more than 60 years they had been in power in Uganda, they took their time and stood up to be seen and fought for the liberation and you know, expunged colonialism out of Uganda. When in the 1980s, General Yoweri Museveni and his colleagues saw something were messy, the election had been stolen, they risked their lives and went to the bush and fought. But now, in 2024, where is that courage of this generation to use the tools available to them, especially the social media, because you can use it to network, so that you too, we can say your generation has done something to change the course of history?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick, for that. But if you look at things, that the context has really changed. Then and now, the context has really changed. For example, if you look at a young person who is watching TV and seeing a young person who is trying to speak truth to power being arrested, and for some of them we cannot trace where they are, then that creates fear. So there is fear amongst these young people. Why?
Who told you that for you to put the country right, the struggle is going to be smooth? The ride is going to be rough.
Yeah, we know
it was rough for them in 1960. It was rough for them in 1980. Actually, some people even never came back. And it's going to be rough for you. It was rough in 2000 when Dr. Besigye penned his dossier, and it has continued to be rough. Yes, the struggle is going to be rough.
Yes.
So are you scared of the struggle?
Yes, that scares away most of the young people. So that is why you see that we have a challenge that when some faces come up to try and mobilize, they won't have the numbers of young people, because first of all, some of them are scared. They are in fear. And if you compare what is happening in Uganda to Kenya, Kenya has had a kind of a transition of power. Yeah, and then you have Uganda, where you have a president that has ruled for, it's coming to 40 years. He has mastered the game. He's using all the resources. He has bought all the military, armory, and every other thing, that by the time you pop up to do anything, then they will get to you. I'll give an example. Edson was talking about recently the march to parliament. My organization and other organizations, when they arrested young people, we wanted to hold a press conference. But an hour to the press conference, the hotel we were going to be at was surrounded by the military with all the armory and every other thing, and everyone scattered, and 3 of our colleagues were arrested. And guess what the charges were? That we are some of the people that are supporting the people who want to disrupt parliament. But that was not true. That was not true. So what happens is that for anyone that takes leadership to speak something that they feel is not comfortable, that person will be targeted. And when they are targeted, then the rest will run away. They will take off.
You know what I hear from you?
Yes.
People who have surrendered, a voice of fear and a voice that is intimidated. The people who have just given up. This is what I see.
Patrick, maybe to come in on that.
Very quickly, because I want to.
What I want to clearly indicate is that when all governments come down tumbling when there is a time called a critical juncture, when there are so many issues that everyone can point out. And I want to say that the NRM, even after 40 years, has not led to the culmination of such an instance, because they have been responsive, they have done enough programming to make sure the youth are included, they have created structures. So such a time, as many will see, is far from being reached because the government is responsive. So it is not a voice of fear, but it is a voice that is bottomless, with no critical aggregated issues that would agitate someone to become so pained that they can lose everything.
Even with the unemployment, the unemployment rate in this country.
Godfrey, does the Honorable Edison sound like somebody who's out of touch?
Patrick, with due respect, Honorable Edison, I'm very disappointed. And I know majority of the youth out there, they're very disappointed in you, because we expect the loudest voice in Parliament from you and Nyamutoro. You see, matters we are talking about here are very, very critical. We are talking about a society that is mismanaged. The country has been mismanaged, my brother. And I expect you, as a member of Parliament, representing youth, to be drumming the loudest voice for the youth. Let me tell you, my brother Patrick, majority of us are very well educated in this country. And the people representing us think we don't matter. I'm very disappointed with the members of Parliament of the NRM. They have decided to keep quiet and leave our issues to us, to manage ourselves. You cannot tell me, my brother, that you cannot speak in Parliament and make noise and make the whole of Parliament be uncomfortable, my brother. Because look at this, there is no comfort up country, in Karamoja, in Western Uganda. You cannot sit and say, we have done this, you see, we have done this. What results are you getting, my brother? Listen to me, my brother. Honorable, look at this. Because this is, you should take my points, mark them and take them to Parliament, or wherever the authorities are, so that they understand our problems. I normally deal with the people. I normally sit in Bushain district. I look around. I move in villages. Sometimes I do business with village people. And this is how we make money to survive. But you go to a village and you find a person has never gone to school because he's born with 5. Their parent produced them 5.
You have 5 siblings.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He has sold all the land, like I said. They have nothing. You are in Parliament, you know what we go through. You have gone through secondary life and university life. You know that if your parent is poor, you have not gone to school, you cannot access cheap credit, okay? Where do you expect a youth, how do you expect a youth to survive?
Okay. Let me come to Edison now. You can hear the voice of pain, of frustration, and quite frankly, anger about the status quo. And somehow, when you present yourself, you somehow feel like a person who's out of step in what the reality is. And so, do you understand the people you lead?
I very much understand the people I lead. But I also understand that...
He's comfortable.
I also very understand that they are individual voices. but then there are also mass voices. I am careful not to trade with the individual voices. One, I appreciate that for a long time, Uganda's major problem was not jobs, as is mentioning. For a long time, Uganda was preoccupied with other problems. Peace itself was very important. The infrastructure was very important. But for periods of decades, the NRM kept on pushing. And those problems
Let me tell you, the guns have been silent in northern Uganda at least for almost 20 years.
Just wait a minute.
Let me just give you this.
Yes, Patrick.
The late John Pombe Magufuli, in only 5 years, did so much for Tanzania. And yet, in 40 years, General Museveni probably has not done what Magufuli did in 5 years. Why?
And that is the point, Mr. Patrick. That's the point.
What I need to emphasize is, what we, most times, young people don't do is put achievements on a scale of time. It took 10 years to change the course of Uganda from a completely dilapidated country into a country that is stable. 10 years next, the government focused on infrastructure. We did quite well. Now, these 5 years, the focus is on job creation. What young people must understand now is that the priority of government is the creation of those jobs. Two, to mention that someone somewhere in Ushenyi has a lot of pain, that they cannot access any cheap credit, is to say that the government is not doing anything by putting in place $1 trillion shillings funding towards a fund that is meant to reach.
Mr. Patrick, let me ask my honorable.
Let him conclude his point.
So
one at a time, gentlemen.
What individual voices do is that they don't look at the greater picture, that the government is making effort. We have a $1 trillion fund called Parish Development Fund. And we, the ones that they say have no voice, fought so hard that 30% of that money at every parish level goes to the young people.
And they can compete also for the other 70%.
Yes, and they also can compete for the 70. So what I want you to see and decant is that now an individual voice doesn't look at.
No, that's not my individual voice.
But the mass voice somewhere there appreciates because they are able to access 1 million.
Okay, let me come to you, Topisa, before I go back to Geoffrey. Topisa, there is a constitution and a timetable that is used to bring in leaders every 5 years. Yes. And in next 1 year, in 2025, the campaign is going to begin. And yet, over 70% of the population of Uganda are young people. Can't you just say, this time around, we're not going to put prices on our heads. We're going to elect individuals at every level that are pro us, that can understand us, that can listen to us. Because you have the mandate. Can't you be very careful on whom you want to give that mandate, even though perhaps money is going to be thrown at you left, right, and center?
Yes, Patrick, that is a very good question. But you've talked about the money. I know that most of the young people are poor. So they are looking for whoever it is that has money so that they go with that. But then you have a lot of young people who are even not interested. They are disinterested. First of all, they think that even when we go and vote, maybe the results are already predetermined. That's the perception of the young people out there. They have always turned up to vote, but then they feel it is the same thing. We are validating a system that is not listening
I don't think that is even true. Why? Because in the last election, in the Uganda region, people turned up, voted, and defended their vote, and we saw the results. So, I mean, if you overwhelm the system with massive support.
Yes, Patrick, do you know that there were over 1 million young people that were disenfranchised because they were not registered with NIRA? Yes, and that was intentional. It was intentional. One of the dailies wrote during the previous elections, one of the dailies wrote...
What explains that the young people in Buganda region stood up and spoke in the ballot box, and their voice was heard, loud and clear.
Okay, Patrick.
What was so different? Patrick, why can't that be infectious to the rest of the regions?
The context in Buganda is different from the context in the other regions of Uganda. First of all, here in Buganda or in Kampala, people have access to information. Like, for example, young people are able to access information through televisions. They are able to access information through social media, which is different from the young people out there at the grassroots. And then whatever it is that happens here in Kampala will definitely be aired out for everyone to see. That is what happened.
I don't think the people I come from Kenjojo. I don't think the young people in Kenjojo are missing out on information. Neither the young people in Bushenyi. I don't think they are.
Patrick, yes. Patrick, those young people are missing out on information. If I tell you right now, one of the challenges that young people face is that they don't have access to voter and civic education. No one is speaking to them. If that information is available, then it is available in just English. How many of the young people up country are able to communicate or listen or speak English? There are very few. If you go up country, we have a lot of young people who are school dropouts because of teenage pregnancies. And that is a context that happens in most of the regions in Uganda. And for those that we have engaged with, some of them are even unable to access the parish development model that Edison is talking about. Why? They dropped out of school, they don't have a national ID, and the people are asking for a national ID for them to be able to benefit from those programs. And if you look at what is happening, even in these forthcoming elections, is that the Electoral Commission is going to use NIRA data to populate the National Voters Register. But every other time, you've had NIRA extend the timelines just because they don't have funding, they don't have the resources. If you go to Electoral Commission that is supposed to do voter education, they will tell you we don't have the resources, we don't have the monies. If you go to Uganda Human Rights Commission that is supposed to do civic education, they don't have the resources, they don't have the monies. So
what is the real issue? Is the real issue that because they are not registered, they are not willing, or because they are poor?
All those compound together to create why youth are not turning up to vote. Some of them don't have the information that is needed. Some of them are poor, so they cannot afford. For example, let me give an example. I was reading a report that said that in the previous elections, for a person who went to parliament, they spent over 400 to 500 million shillings. Imagine that amount of money. Can a young person compete with such a person? And apart from that, if you look at what is happening formally, is that young people need to pay nomination fees. And we've been working with young people, and most of them have been complaining that this is a lot of money. Someone has to pay 3 million for them to contest for member of parliament. But apart from the 3 million that they are paying as nomination fees, even in their political parties, when they contest for primary elections, they still part with some money. That, in addition to what they will have to use for campaigns, definitely eliminates a lot of young people from participating in these processes. So we need to deal with the question of money. That is why you have that for most of the young people that really get to those offices, they are connected somewhere to either a political party or a person who should fund them to get there. But otherwise, most of the young people are poor and they cannot afford.
But what I know, that if you sensitized yourselves, if you engaged yourselves using the tools of social media networks that are available, and you created a certain movement, there can be a wave of energy that is unstoppable.
Yeah, Patrick, we're already doing that. There is a campaign that we are running on social media. It's Amplify Youth Civic Awareness Campaign. We are talking to them about elections, popularizing the electoral roadmap, why they should participate, what are their rights and responsibilities. We're already doing that on social media. But also, if you look at the young people that are on social media, you cannot assume that every young person is on social media. There are a few that are on social media. Not every young person is on social media.
So Godfrey, I think there's a lack, because all young people, we could say you're elite, you've gone to school, university, well qualified in different disciplines, but there's that lack of elite consensus of young Ugandans who are in some places to say, this is what we're going to do, this is who we are, this is what we want, and this is our march.
Let me tell you, Patrick, you see, I'm very disappointed, I'm sorry, with my brother, the youth MP. Before I came to this talk show, I got about 5 messages to bring to him. And let me give them to him on air here. One, someone told me that you are too humble for the job, for the youth. And as youth, too humble for the job as a youth MP. Let me show you our previous members of parliament. We had Honorable Gerard Karuhanga. We had Gerard Karuhanga, who is an MP, who was an MP for the youth from Western Uganda. And you know where he came from? He came from Makerere University. So I want to send my satisfaction with the performance of my member of parliament for the youth. That was the first message.
I don't know why. I don't know why him being humble is that an issue, because yes. I can hear he's defending his what he thinks is right.
You see,
with a calm voice, but with there's a strength of character.
Yes, you see,
because there's a strength of character that you need.
See, yes, you see. No, my brother, wait, just honorable, wait. Let me tell you something here. The members of parliament from the NRM side have decided to take the same stance, the same direction, like my brother here. They are quiet, they sit in parliament, they have to sit and wait for the speaker. Things are done wrong. I
thought being humble is
please give me some time.
Is a virtue, not a
virtue. Give me this time. Give me some time, and I address this. I speak.
Okay.
So that I address it, because my brother, you would be actually taking notes because it's very important for you. The youth out there want someone who is aggressive in asking for all this. We're asking a parliament which is almost, you have 356 members of the NRM party. And you cannot really behave like the way you behave as members of parliament, my brother.
Let me set this straight.
Because you got time and you were speaking and I was quiet. Let me tell you our pain. If I don't tell you our pain, you don't understand. You think that's the way, that's the right way of what you're doing, but that's not the right way of how people should be or how they want it done in parliament. So the members of parliament, I love the NRM members of parliament, specific members of parliament, because their voices are out. When they speak, you hear their voice. Let me tell you, I love Honorable Tinka Simile. He's an NRM who speaks the truth. Who speaks out, who speaks the truth, and he tells you the people of Remiaga are suffering with this, with the land, with the water, with this. But I'm very disappointed with the members of parliament who just sit because probably they fear to speak out.
Yeah, but you see, the beauty, but the good thing in that, Mr. Geoffrey, is that in a couple of months from now, or maybe a year, you have the opportunity to change those whom you think are not good enough, and you, the young people, are the ones giving the mandate.
Let me call upon
because of your numbers.
But there is something that we need to set straight. For a long time, young people were described as rowdy, useless, disorganized, no focus. That is the narrative that we found for a long time. And that is because some voices believe that actually to be a leader of a young person, you should be rowdy. No. What matters in this life, my brother, Geoffrey,
yes,
is the means and the gains you make using your political office. Now, you have mentioned my very good predecessors. But I can tell you this lot of youth MPs has even had many more gains for young people than the previous. Why? Because we understand that it's not about just being rowdy. It is how you package your message to reach the different stakeholders. One thing you must understand is power is amorphous. It lies within all of us. Power is not in one individual. So to get issues done, you must have the consensus and agreement and convergence with so many people that you must work with. Most times, that is what lacks with young people. Now, I can tell you, in these 3 years, 4 years we have been in parliament, 30% of PDM is now gazetted for young people. I can tell you that now businesses have been, we recently passed a PPD regulation, that now actually government is going to be intentional in trading with young people. That no budget now can be passed and no functional procuring entity can have its procurement plan approved without 15% of that budget going to the young people. This is, we are talking about indeed tangible gains that young people have been missing. Now, standing up and making noise, Geoffrey, does not benefit the young people. what benefits the young people is the actual gains we make for them.
So you really think that the people expressing themselves are just a few individuals? You
I
didn't
want
think,
to solidly believe.
No,
and
you
I
really
want-
think that's
I
not the
want to-
pulse? That's not the pulse of the nation?
I want to actually hinge myself on what you mentioned earlier, the elite consensus of the young people. Most times young people do not sit to have that consensus because of elements of the type of Geoffrey. Because they think that the loudest must be heard. No.
But they're supposed to coalesce. But they're supposed to coalesce around you.
The voice of reason will be heard.
Let
no
me
matter
make a
what
quick
noise
one, Honorable.
is in the
Honorable, let
room.
me make a quick one here. You see, when they are going, this is an example, a local example. When you're going to slaughter a goat, it will make the loudest noise. Even the owner will know, probably someone is stealing this goat. If you're going to slaughter sheep, it will just keep quiet, you slaughter it, and it dies like that. Even the owner will not even know that they have stolen it. Let me tell you, if you have pain, if you have been unemployed, I think for you have never been unemployed.
Patrick.
So, just a moment. If you have never been unemployed, if you have been on the street for 10 years, you don't have a job, and you see a government looting, taking money from people are looting, you just keep, you say, you see, we have to be humble. My friend, the pulse of the nation, the pulse of the nation is really,
sometimes
high.
it's not just a high-pitched voice, but the
maybe
value.
that's when they will
It's not the
understand.
noise, but the knowledge.
Maybe they will understand when we make
Maybe
noise.
to make this clear, I personally take cognizance that the current problem of Uganda is the lack of jobs.
Okay.
We need at least 6 million
lack of
jobs.
job. Okay, the gentleman and lady, hold on to your points because we're going to take a break, and on the spot we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. My guests this evening are Honorable Edson Rugumayo, Topista Kiza, and Godfrey Bainomujisha. And we're discussing the voice of the young people in the leadership of Uganda. And you talked about, to be aggressive, to be assertive. Yes, maybe those are values who needed. Yes. And you gave an example of my friend, the Honorable Gerard Karuhanga. Yes. But guess what? The people of Ntungamo municipality fired him.
To the contrary, when Gerard Karanga left Makerere University, he became our youth MP. Immediately after that, he switched. He became an MP for Ntungamo municipality, and we saw him as a voice, as a loud, as a brilliant, as a brave man. Now, the following times when term when he lost, that was different. Because of course the NRM, because for him he was not in NRM. And the NRM politics, as you know it, they value allegiance to Mr. Museveni, Mr. President Museveni. So the people, and what hurts me most is that people who are marginalized, who are suffering most, are the people voting NRM MPs.
But to
the contrary,
but then why would they be
the most? Yes, we all know that when you go back to our constituencies, you see how people live, the kind of misery they are in, and they keep voting the same kind of party. And my voice has been that, and other opposition members of parliament, that if you're suffering, if you're feeling the pain, please join us. Join the opposition. Join National Unity Platform. Because we are here as an alternative. Now, I wanted to say this. Honorable, you like to interject. Why? Do you feel uncomfortable when I'm speaking?
Yes, because there is no clear ideology with the no.
Please.
There is no clear ideology.
No, that's not true.
And why would they join? Because at the end of it all,
one at a time, gentlemen.
The people do not want
one at a time, gentlemen.
They will give you time. You have a time in Parliament. You can have the media on the steps of Parliament. You can speak. You can have any time. But this is our time. Me and Topista and you, just give me time and I talk. And you note down all this and take them to Parliament and discuss. So what I'm trying to mean here, we need people who are vibrant. We need people who feel our pain. When you're in this country where there is corruption. And you see young people on the street, naked, and you keep comfortable, you keep in that comfort zone. It sounds, it's a disappointment, my brother.
Patrick.
And lastly, my brother, I'm calling upon the youth of this country. I want to look through that camera. Fellow youth who are out there, we have suffered a lot under this government. We tell you every day that government, the NRM government, is not on your issues. Your issues have been neglected. The road, for example, from Busheng to Mbarara, completely has been destroyed. Up to now, people have been crying for that road. It is up to now broken. Our tea in Busheng, the tea, our livelihood as farmers in Busheng, Chamunga Igara, completely, farmers now have no school fees to take their children to school. So when I am talking to you, my brother honorable, I want you to stand in that parliament. By the way, I also have a case with you where you have not held any meeting, Patrick, in these districts which you represent. We need you to come.
Made your point, yeah.
Yes, we need you to come and hold these meetings with the youth, and they tell you their problems.
One of the fundamental issues you raised here was why are youth not coalesced around a particular issue to push? And this is what I find in Bainomcha's comment. His agitation for the youth of Uganda to join NOP, and yet which is well known to be clearly bankrupt of any particular ideology, lets him down. No matter how much passion he puts behind his voice, the relics are all empty because there is no particular ideology that brings the youth to ideology. What is it, radicalism? No, it doesn't work like that. Now, Patrick, I feel the pain of a young person. Many parents have had to go through the pain of paying tuition from primary to secondary, and children graduate, but they have no jobs. It is the pain. Unless Bainomcha here has not been following. We have been raising voices and saying, hello, look, government, the most important problem is now jobs. Create the jobs. Tell young people where the jobs are. Everything else does not matter. The jobs matter. But he doesn't listen. Because he doesn't care to listen.
No, it's NRM that is supposed to listen. Not me. Whatever he listens to, I have no solutions to give. But it's the government. I give my taxes.
It's the lack of jobs. But by making noise.
But you were elected because you had a plan.
Yes.
And that plan includes creating jobs for Ugandans.
And that is what.
So you have failed on that, on the promise.
I do not create.
And so they are telling you that you have failed.
Yes. I do not create jobs as Parliament.
But you are an NRM member of
put critical proposals to government.
Now, this year, when he's telling me.
Hold on,
you're telling me that the NRM has failed.
When I stood up in Parliament and said, hello, government, look, Kenya has done something wonderful. They have put aside particular businesses which should be done by young people. I was not just making noise, but making an important suggestion to government.
Yeah, look here. Your analysis is that we have no jobs.
We have no
Ugandans. We have a jobless generation. We have a jobless and angry generation. But the government in power was elected after presenting a manifesto.
Yes.
And that manifesto was hinging around job creation and prosperity for all.
And what is
and so now, what we see is prosperity for the few, jobs for the few, and the Ugandan young people are angry.
Do you know that from the start of 2021 to today, how many factories have been opened?
No, but you are the only, right here, you have made a very nice analysis that this country is having a problem of a jobless generation.
Yes.
And yet there was a promise to create jobs. And so they have failed on that. They have failed
on that. My job as a leader of the young people is not to just wake up and make noise about the jobs, but to create critical avenues of how government should create these jobs. You saw recently, we held a very wonderful business forum, trying to say, hey, look, Mr. President, young people have very wonderful, innovative ideas. Now, you can start with a small innovation, and government puts in money, and this becomes a multinational corporation. So it's not about making the noise, Geoffrey.
My
Just
friend.
empty noise.
My
it's
friend.
about making noise with proposals to government.
The comfort you are enjoying in Parliament
And it is not
shows us that you are not actually doing anything. Because you see, if you're doing something, we should see results, my brother.
And you see results.
And the results you are
For
not
example,
showing
Patrick, I
make
need to
us
let- I
say
need to
you're
let-
not
I need to let Geoffrey
your
know
performance is poor.
I
That
just
starting
wanted
this
to come in
financial
here a
year-
little.
Start-
It talks
let me
about
make this point home. Starting this financial year,
Yes.
every contract that is 10 million and below will not be taken by an old person. It has to be taken by young people in the district. Every contract in government that is 30 million and below has to be taken.
That won't
by
be a
young.
reality anyway.
Two,
We know.
we are aggressively saying that government should pursue the industrial policy that they've been putting in place. Putting in place those industrial hubs, attracting foreign investors. That is what we need to do. Put issues on a scale of time. And even when we speak and push, we must be able to appreciate that these things require time to be done.
Okay, in the meantime, I just want to be able to open the lines so that young people who are listening tonight, you pick your phone and tell us what you think. You're going to see the numbers on the screen. Pick your phone from home or wherever you are. Tell us. And I understand we have already a call online. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Kamal.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from? And please, the floor is yours.
I'm Rafael, you are OB at Kiego, the Central Country.
You are no B of US Laker like me. Go right ahead, sir.
Rafael, okay. Now, what perhaps we must...
Please don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to the echo. Make your statement in one go.
Okay. It is disturbing me. That young man, the one in respect, is so aggressive.
The problem is that. Okay, let me help. Let me help you. Let me help you. Listen. Can you listen? Turn down the volume of your TV, and then you'll have a better conversation with us. Please turn down the volume of your TV. Okay? After that, you'll be okay.
Is it okay?
Yes, it is. Go right ahead now. Go right
The
ahead.
government is trying to put any initiative for the youth. Every district now, there is a government, the state house has initiated something to the youth. In every district, go to, all the youth are going to use tools to create jobs. Not letting, now that gentleman is telling us that youth will provide jobs from where? Jobs are created. No one will give you a job for free.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much there. Okay, maybe a word of advice. In case you call and your call is picked, please turn down the volume of your TV. If you don't turn down the volume, it will send an echo to you and to us, and we shall not have a better conversation. I have another call online. Hello? Hello? Yes, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Bondiwood district.
Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yes.
To be very specific. Can you tell us, in his tenure, as of now, how many youth is he aware of that have been in because of this youth initiative? These are people who are using the government. Rugumayo is one of the from the better family from when he was born. So how can you lie Ugandan plans for them? Yet you don't know.
Okay.
I want to you who have been
my apologies, the line is not very clear, and yet I really wanted to hear what you're saying. I hope Honorable Gumayo has picked a word or two from what you're trying to say, but the line was not very clear. Apologies for that. Okay. Probably will take one more, and then we'll get to hear your views. We have another call online. Hello. Hello?
Hello,
Yes, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Moding Samuel,
Yes.
calling from Bukadia.
Go right ahead, sir, from Bukadia.
Yeah, now, Mr. the representative of the youth,
The Honorable Edson Rugumayo.
yeah, he's telling us that PDM is benefiting people.
Yes.
Yeah, the Honorable Edson Rugumayo is telling us about PDM benefiting people. But I can assure him that I am next to very many people, youths, who have got the 1 million, actually 900,000, because even the circles that they are getting money from, they charge them before they give them the money.
Okay.
You find someone is asked to pay some amount before he is given the 1 million. So today, as we speak, when you look at the person who has received the PTM, they keep talking every day and then. I think as if even the situation has worsened before they go to the money. What they would have done is to educate these people how they should use the money, but not just throwing money in the hands of people without educating them.
Okay. So you are accusing them of just giving them money, but at least money was given. But thank you, our caller from Bukadia. I can only maybe take one more caller, and then my guests will be able to respond and also give us their concluding remarks. I have a call online. Hello. Hello.
Thank you, caller from Bukadia.
No, you have, please, I asked that you turn down the volume of your TV so it doesn't bring an echo. I'm cutting that line because it's sending an echo, which means your TV volume is up. Let me take another caller. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Prince Lucky. I'm calling from Gulo.
Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, I have a problem
Yes.
with this government. The first problem is, why are they talking about unemployment for youth, and yet many hotel management systems are giving jobs to people, but the government, they don't follow the employer the way they're treating the workers in Uganda. And then secondly, why is it that they are giving money for compensation to the people, especially in up country, but they have allocated over 40 billion, whatever, but they pay by 600,000, 1 million. They want to pay for how many years? Those are the challenges we are facing here. So I want these people to talk about it if they are really capable of helping us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our caller from Gulu. Okay, let me give you, let me begin from my extreme left with you, Mr. Bainomjisha, the topist, and then the Honorable will conclude.
Yes, Mr. Patrick and
Yes.
our viewers, I want to thank you for sitting over there and watch us in this program. But most important, I want to tell the youth that this is our time. We need to know that the future of this country is before us. We must make decisions that will give us a good future. NRM has neglected us for a long time. We have had challenges and issues with this government. Corruption, the misery we have lived in for close to 40 years. And this is a wake-up call that fellow youth, join the National Unity Platform. Because we are a party, we are a generational party. We are the party that represents the youth. I'm calling upon the people of Western Uganda. Everybody move, because that's where the block vote comes from the NRM. We need to change and have a government that listens to us. We have had issues, we have suffered, but we need change. The message we are preaching to you as young people is change.
Okay.
When we have change, we shall have a better future for this country.
Thank you very much. Chopista, what's going to be your concluding remark?
So my concluding remarks is first
Remember,
of all,
it's not yet campaign time, though.
Yeah, I'm not campaigning. So my concluding remarks is that in the first place, I would like to tell Honorable that for the young people that are working in the industries and factories that have been opened up, they are paid very little money. If you look at what they're earning and the standard of living, it's really, really worrying. We see a lot of them move on the streets, but they're paid very little money. And secondly, if they were paid well, if you're creating opportunities, we wouldn't see massive young people move out of the country to go and work in the Arab countries. We wouldn't see that if there are opportunities in here. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is that we see an opportunity in social media, yeah? But you know what is happening with people's right to freedom of expression, assembly, and association. Some of us are civil society organizations and we work with youth. But whatever it is that we do with youth, you'll have security guys, the DSOs ask, what are you doing with the youth? They think that maybe you're directing them to a certain political party. So what I would say is that going forward, if government feels that they are really interested in the young people, if they're creating opportunities for these young people to participate in governance, to fully be heard, then they should be ready to allow young people to use the opportunities available through social media and other media. And then lastly, let me end with this. So Honorable, you're talking about what you've secured in terms of the procurement for services, but then the environment through which young people are working or are doing business is really not supportive. They will start up businesses. We have young people who have tried to start up businesses by themselves, but if you look at the taxes, the cost of electricity, and all that is what is affecting them. You've seen traders striking before, so that is still affecting the young people. So however much you've secured that for them, the environment will still stay for their businesses.
Okay, Honorable Rugumayo, before you even respond, I have two comments here, quite a number of them, but let me pick two that seem to be. One is saying, tell Edison Rugumayo that he has failed to so miserably at defending the indefensible. All initiatives for the youth seem to be firefighting gimmicks with no clear sustainability plan. This is Fatuma Nakazi from Bunga. And, but somebody here also agrees with you and says, good evening, Patrick. I appreciate Honorable Rugumayo as Youth MP, Western, and agree he's in touch with the youth and consults elders. Good, he's saying, to fight corruption. And there's somebody called Stephen Basaliz.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick. To the young people out there viewing us today, the times are hard, it is true. Many of us have gone to school, they have had parents pay a lot of tuition, and today they are faced with the horror of sitting at home with no job. I am here to tell you that not all hope should be lost. Yes, there were challenges before. 10 years down the road, these challenges are no more. And therefore, that should give us hope that every problem is solvable. Two, there are so many people who will try to call us, invite us to many parties. It should be upon us to digest and see beyond and know that some may look appeasing on the top, but are hollow inside. They have no value. They have no tangible things they present for us as opportunities. And lastly, I want to encourage young people to get out of the comfort zone. Times will always be hard, but you better get in there in the ring and fight than sit and procrastinate.
Okay.
The fight is ours, but we should need to fight wisely. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Geoffrey Bainomjisha. Thank you to Pista Kiza, and thank you, the Honorable Edson Rugumayo. But most of all, I want to thank you, the viewers, for your company. And we have listened from different views of how Uganda is today. It's up to you. But the good thing about our country is that we have a constitution and a timetable for changing leaders. Soon they'll be coming to you, and sometimes with a flowery language. Listen to them, understand them, ask them questions. Look for those people whom you think are going to care for your voices in whatever political grouping you are in. You look for a leader that you think can add value to you, to your community, and to your country. Maybe we can hopefully know that we can be a better nation. Good night and God bless Uganda.